Hey everybody, this is Jim Neve from Jim Neve Woodworks again. Today I'm going to go over a quick little project I call test tube babies. My daughter used to be a microbiologist and work in a lab, and she kind of likes test tubes because of that, and she's a budding horticulturist, pun intended, and is doing a lot of plant starting around her house, where you just set them in water until they grow roots. So she had this cool idea of making a plant starting station that hangs on the wall using test tubes, and we found a really cool piece of curly eucalyptus in my shed, so we grabbed that and went to work on it. And so this is just going to show you what it looks like. So here's the starting piece of eucalyptus after I filled all the cracks and stuff with epoxy. Eucalyptus is a very hard wood, but it always has lots of cracks in it after it's dried, so we wanted this to be smooth and crack free, so we filled all the gaps and voids. And then we split the board in two so we could get the two pieces to mount on the wall. These test tubes are a little under 1¼ inches in diameter, so they're a little bigger than the normal ones I'm used to anyway. So we want to drill holes that are 1¼ inch diameter and then have them offset so that as much of the test tube can show on the edge without them falling out, obviously. So we're basically offsetting these tubes a little bit past center into the inside. Now normally I would have just drilled holes into the wood with like a Forstner bit and then planed it down to the point that I wanted to stop. That would have given me the cleanest edge and the cleanest cuts. However, these boards were not wide enough for that already. They were already planed down and weren't much more than a 1¼ inches thick to start with. So I had to try and cut these offset already, and I didn't want the wood to break out so much, and I needed to start in on an uneven board edge because it's got the natural edge on the test tube side. So I started the holes out and cut down as far as I could with the CNC. That gives me a very accurate spacing, and it doesn't care whether or not there's a uneven edge to start with, but I can only go down about 2 inches. So I'm starting with the CNC, and then we'll move on to Forstner bit to finish the job. So now that I've got the holes all started with the CNC, I'll come in with a 1¼ inch Forstner bit. I sharpened this up so it's nice, and it'll give me the cleanest edges with the least amount of breakout as possible. This eucalyptus is very brittle, and it's with the wavy grain, it still tended to break out on the edges a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. So this was a pretty easy process here. Now, after taking the full depth that the Forstner bit could reach before my chuck hit the wood, I added a Forstner bit extension to it so I could reach down to the bottom. Now, one thing I'll say is make sure you get a very good quality extension. This one was not very good, and so the bit was not held concentric in the extension, or the extension was a little bit bent, I don't know, but it did not run very true, and so it towards the bottom of the cuts they were a little rougher, and I had to do a lot more sanding and smoothing up. So it pays to have a well machined extension for a job like this. So after drilling all the holes to full depth, I had an even bottom, and this is what the tubes look like sitting in the holes before the final finish is done. So I cut a couple of keyhole slots in the back to allow to mount these on screws on the wall. And of course, no project would be complete without lasering your logo into the back of the project. And here we are after all the machining and sanding. I sanded to 400 grit. I'm going to put some linseed oil on this first to bring out the grain a little bit, give it a little bit of a darker tone, and then I'm just going to use polyurethane. Usually I use satin. I'll probably put 1 or 2 coats of semi-gloss on the end because I really want the curly figure to show up here. I don't usually use full gloss because I just don't like the look and feel of it on wood, but semi-gloss sometimes is a good compromise to really bring out and pop the curly figure on this kind of wood. All right, so this is what it looks like up on the wall. I think it turned out really nicely. It's a very simple project. Again, you wouldn't need to use a CNC at all, especially if you can start with some thicker material and just drill a hole straight in, or your hole straight in, and then plane or sand down one edge into the hole to get your final position or depth of your hole, or I should say width of the hole with respect to the face. That would be a lot simpler and give you cleaner edges if you could. I just couldn't do that because of the starting thickness of the wood I already had. So anyway, if you like this, give it a like, and if you have any questions or comments, please throw them down in the comment section below. I always answer my questions. Thank you.